You know that nagging ache, that cramp, or that swelling in your legs? It is so easy to just brush it off. But what if it's your body trying to send you a really important signal? The big question is the problem with the delivery route, or is it a jam on the return trip? Okay, let's get into it and solve this leg pain mystery once and for all.
So many of us feel this, and our first thought is, yep, I'm just getting older. It's a super common assumption, isn't it? That all these new aches and pains are just inevitable. But what if they're not?
Yeah, a lot of the time, it's not just getting older. It's a clear sign that there's a traffic problem on your body's most critical highway, your circulatory system. I mean, think about it. Your blood vessels are this huge, complex road system. They're responsible for delivering all the vital supplies and clearing out all the waste. And when there's a traffic jam, your legs are often the first to let you know.
So here's the basic breakdown of this highway. You've got arteries. Think of these as the high-pressure delivery trucks. They're powerfully pumping that fresh oxygen-rich blood away from the heart and out to the rest of the body. Then you have the veins. They're the low-pressure return system, kind of like vacuums, pulling all that used blood back to the heart to get refreshed. Delivery versus return. It's a simple idea, but it's absolutely crucial. Okay, so let's first look at what happens when those delivery trucks, the arteries, run into trouble. This leads to a condition you might have heard of called peripheral arterial disease, or just PAD for short. At its heart, PD is basically a plumbing issue. Over the years, plaque can build up inside the arteries, a process called atherosclerosis. This makes the arteries narrow, kind of like a clog in a pipe. This creates a major traffic jam on that delivery highway, and it makes it way harder for that vital oxygen-rich blood to get where it needs to go, especially down to your legs. And that brings us to the real problem here. It all comes down to an oxygen deficit. See, when you're just sitting around relaxing, there might be just enough oxygen sneaking past that blockage. But the second you get up and start moving, your muscles scream for more fuel. And those clogged arteries just can't keep up with demand. It's been called the BAD problem because, well, a lack of oxygen is very, very bad for your body. So this oxygen deficit, it leads to the absolute classic textbook symptom of PAD. It's called intermittent claudication, and it's a very specific kind of pain that only shows up when you're active. And this quote from the National Library of Medicine just nails the description. It's pain that is reproducibly induced by walking, which means it happens like clockwork when you move, and just as importantly, it's relieved with rest. The moment you stop, the pain goes away. It's literally your muscles crying out for oxygen that they just aren't getting. Okay, so beyond that really specific pain, what else should you be on the lookout for? Well, all the signs point back to that lack of oxygen-rich blood. The leg might feel cool to the touch because there's less warm blood getting down there. A doctor might find weak or maybe even no pulses in your feet. And because the skin isn't getting the nutrients it needs, it can get all shiny. You might lose hair on your leg, and you can develop these very distinct round-looking sores.
All right, that's the delivery problem. But what about the other side of the highway? What happens when the return lanes get all backed up? This is where veins come in. Now, this is a totally different animal. Unlike the artery problem, which is about a blockage, the vein problem is really a mechanical failure. In chronic venous disease, or CVD, the walls of the veins get weak, and these tiny one-way valves inside them become leaky. And that means they just can't do their job of pushing blood back up to the heart against gravity. And let me be crystal clear about this. This is not an oxygen problem. The delivery trucks are getting through just fine. The issue here is that the used blood can't get back out. Those leaky valves let it flow backward, and it just starts to pool in your lower legs. This whole backup creates pressure, it creates swelling. Somebody brilliantly called this a veiny pool party.
So the signs here paint a totally different picture than PAD. The pain isn't sharp and crampy. It's more of a dull, heavy, aching feeling from all that blood just sitting there. The leg is often swollen, especially at the end of the day, and it feels warm because all that blood is pooling. And here's a huge clue. The pulses are normal because the arteries are working perfectly. If sores develop, they tend to be irregularly shaped, and you might see some brownish staining on the skin around your ankles.
So, we have two completely different problems that can both lead to leg pain. How in the world does a doctor figure out which road is actually blocked? Well, that brings us to the diagnostic process.
Let's just put it all side by side. It makes it so clear. With PAD, you've got that sharp pain when you exercise, a leg that's cool and weak or missing pulses. With CVD, it's a dull, aching pain, a swollen warm leg, and totally normal pulses. You see? the type of pain and what's going on with the pulse are two of the biggest giveaways right from the start.
Now, to really confirm if someone has PAD, one of the first and most valuable tests is something called the Ankle Brachial Index, or ABI. It's a beautifully simple, totally non-invasive way to check for blockages in those arterial delivery routes.
And the test itself is incredibly straightforward. After you rest for a bit, they take a normal blood pressure reading from your arm. Then they take a reading from your ankle. The final step is just some simple math. They divide the ankle pressure by the arm pressure. And that's it. That gives you the ABI ratio.
And that little number tells a huge story. A ratio anywhere from 0.9 up to about 1.4 is considered normal. Your ankle pressure is pretty much the same as your arm pressure. But a score that drops below 0.9, that suggests there's a blockage. There's less pressure making it down to your ankle, and that's a key sign of PAD. And if it's below 0.4, that points to pretty severe disease.
So, why are we obsessing over this distinction? Why is it so important? Because, honestly, this is about so much more than just having sore legs. It's about understanding the bigger picture of your entire cardiovascular health.
This is exactly why that ABI test is so powerful. A low ABI score, the one that points to PAD, isn't just a leg problem. The same plaque that's clogging your leg arteries is probably in other arteries too. Look at this. It's a massive warning sign. It's linked to a 1.7 times higher risk of a recurrent stroke and an incredible 2.22 times higher risk of a major vascular event or even death. It's a big deal.
Now, I know that sounds really alarming, but it's also important to have some perspective. The good news is that with the right management, only about 1 to 2% of people with this claudication pain will ever progress to a point where the limb itself is actually threatened. So the real takeaway is that getting it diagnosed and managed is absolutely key. And what about the other side of the highway? Well, that veiny pool party from CVeD isn't usually linked to things like heart attacks. That does not mean it's a minor issue. It can seriously wreck your quality of life, leading to constant pain, really bad swelling, and these chronic wounds or ulcers that are notoriously difficult to heal. So the bottom line is this. Your legs are telling a really detailed story about the health of your entire circulatory highway. That ache, that swelling, that cramp, it isn't just random noise, it's data. So the only question left is, are you listening to what your legs have to say?